Quran, written to us by Brother Sheikh Ahmed Mustaqim, please.
السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. ذلك بأن الله يولج الليل في النهار ويولج النهار في الليل ويولج النهار في الليل وأن الله سميع بصير. ذلك بأن الله هو الحق وأن ما يدعون من دونه هو الباطل. يدعون من دونه هو الباطل وأن الله هو العلي الكبير. ألم تر أن الله أنزل من السماء ماء فتصبح الأرض مخضرة. إن الله لطيف خبير. له
الله العظيم.
السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.
Alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Thanks to Brother Ahmed Mustaqim. Would like to invite His Excellency, the Vice President for Cooperation Capacity Development of the Islamic Development Bank, to deliver his welcoming remarks for the guests and speakers. Brother Saeed Agha, please.
Some of you might have heard the story of my colleague the other day, that when the euro was being launched, the European Union with the Federal Reserve had an event in Washington, D.C. In a Porsche hotel. They went, and the German representative delivered his statement on time and spoke, and then he was on the way out that he was held by the person from the Federal Reserve. He said, "Where are you going?" He said, "I delivered my speech and have to leave." And he said, "No, we'll wait till I deliver my speech because we are the only two people in the room." So, I don't know if this is due to poor infrastructure today or, I don't know, other transport barriers. But there are a lot of conflicting events that's happening, especially the official formal opening of the exhibition, where the President and the Minister of Finance are speaking as we speak. But anyway, we have those who matter in this event. We all know that transport is a major enabler of not only sustainable development, but all aspects of our lives. And without transport infrastructure, especially roads, our lives would not be the same as we are today. Like other inventions, I think the progress and facilities of transport is quite essential, especially for OIC member countries, because about 12 of our member countries are landlocked countries. But also because of some of the least developed countries, especially in sub-Saharan Africa and parts of Asia, it is estimated by UNCTAD that at about close to 77% of costs of goods are due to transport. So it is a very major impediment for trade and for development. Similarly, while bad roads and bad infrastructure cause delays, I think to the tune of about 25%, if I'm correct, 75% of the delays are due to regulatory barriers. This is why we have to really work on trade facilitation and transport networks. This is why we thought this is a very essential element of overall development picture that we have to bring into the scene. And we are currently engaging with some partners, particularly the United Nations Economic Council for Europe, to do a GIS mapping of the road networks in our member countries. I think the progress is ongoing, and hopefully very soon it will be completed. Similarly, we have initiated contacts with the International Transport Union. I'm glad that the representatives are here, to how we can be of use, a positive use in a sort of enabler for our member countries. And I wouldn't go to the details. I wanted to thank the speakers and the participants. We always say, quantity doesn't matter, it's the quality. But special thanks to our host, the government of Indonesia, that has facilitated very ably in their hospitality for this event, for the whole meeting of the Islamic Development Bank Group, side events and the main events. And we thank them very much. We will remember this meeting as one of the remarkable meetings that we have brought together a number of development actors from around the world to have a dialogue on how we can best serve our member countries. So with that, I would like to thank you all and thank my colleague for organizing this event, and wish you a very successful discussion. And no matter the level of the number of the participants in the room, the notes and the ideas and the thoughts will be captured and will be available online, and we will make sure it's put to best use. So thank you all and wish you good luck.
Thanks to the Vice President, Cooperation and Capacity Development at the Islamic Development Bank, Brother Sayyid Agha, for these welcoming remarks. With that, allow me please to first introduce myself. My name is Abdul Hakim Al-Wa'ar. I'm the Director for Cooperation and Integration at the Islamic Development Bank. And this is basically the department looks after regional cooperation and economic integration programs, and the initiator of this event. Allow me to invite our panel members today to the stage. I will start by calling Mr. Arjun Goswami. He is the technical advisor for regional cooperation and integration of the Asian Development Bank. Please, Mr. Arjun, join us here. We have also Mr. Adrian Yusuf Albu from the International Road and Transport Union. He is currently the Middle East representative for the IRU. Welcome, Mr. Adrian. We have His Excellency Mr. Ahsan Ali Mangi. He is the ECO, Economic Cooperation Organization Deputy Secretary General. Welcome, Your Excellency. With us today also Mr. Hiroyuki Mori. He is the resident representative of the Japan International Cooperation Agency, JICA, for the Middle East. Please, you are most welcome, GCC countries. And lately joined us Mr. Abdullah Churak. He's a manager at the Turkish Railway Authority. We also have a colleague from within the Islamic Development Bank, Brother Muhammad Mirzai, who will join us also at the stage, and he will be accompanied by Brother Ahmed Kabbani later on in their presentation. Please, Brother Mirzai, you can join us here. I think Mirzai, you can come, and Ahmed can come later when you make the presentation. He can come to the stage. Thank you.
It's working. Maybe if we switch this off now.
Seems to all work except the moderator's one. That's fine. Let me talk from here until you fix this one. Well, welcome to all the panel, and we thank you very much for agreeing to join us here today and share some of your extensive experience. Of course, the main event is focusing on regional transport connectivity and how that can boost economic cooperation within the region. More focus on the transport connectivity, but we will see also elements of other soft components of connectivity from the teams. I think the Vice President has highlighted in the welcome remarks the importance that the bank pays for this particular program and promoting regional connectivity and economic cooperation. I would like to start by inviting Mr. Ahsan Ali Mungi from the ECHO organization to share with us the ECHO's experience on regional connectivity, given the fact that ECHO covers 10 of our member countries within Asia, and that we share most of these programs, and we'd like to see how regional connectivity plays a major role in implementing the major ECHO agenda. You have the floor, please. You can speak from your side, yes.
Good evening. I am Ahsan Ali Mungi, as the Excellency just told, and I am the Deputy Secretary General with Economic Cooperation Organization. I'll start with a very brief introduction of this organization and the ECHO region. Economic Cooperation Organization comprises of 10 countries of Central, West and South Asia. It includes Afghanistan, Azerbaijan, Iran, Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan, Pakistan, Turkey, Turkmenistan, Tajikistan, and Uzbekistan. So it's a region which actually is technically in the center of the globe, connecting east to west and north to south, which makes it a very interesting and important regional setup. The total area is about 5.3% of the world. Population is about 441 million. And it has a total foreign trade of about 1,100 billion, which is around 5% of the world. The special peculiarity of this region and of the countries comprising this multilateral organization for economic cooperation is 7 of the 10 countries are landlocked countries, and traditionally most of the trade has been carried out through the railroads, especially for the former Soviet Union states of Central Asia, which made transportation connectivity and transit as one of the important issues to be dealt with under the ECHO. And this is done under an agreement which has been signed by the 10 countries, which is called ECHO Transit Transport Framework Agreement, whereby the countries have agreed to connect together and especially to provide open sea ports for the 7 landlocked countries. This agreement has been signed by all the countries, and it is an enacted agreement. And this agreement has achieved certain understandings and consensus. There are certain, which I'll also show later, certain corridors which have been agreed by the 10 countries. They provide connectivity not only within the region, but also provides opportunity for the regions on north, south, and east, west to connect through the region. So can we have slides also changed? The presentation?
Yes, I think it will be ready, but allow me please to first apologize to Mr. Bambang and also invite him to join us on the stage. He's the representative of the Ministry of Planning of Indonesia. So please, Mr. Bambang, with deep apologies for... you can still see your seat there in the middle waiting for you. Thanks. I guess you have the presentation ready with you. You are our host, that's why we didn't call you.
So, yes. So, you can now see the region and you can have a fair idea about this region. It is in the middle of the globe, connecting east and west and north and south, and it's very big in terms of its geography. So, I was talking about the transit trade agreement, that was the transit transport framework agreement, which was first signed within the region, as they felt that this is the most important single cooperation that is required. Several things have been done under this agreement. There have been alignments agreed by the member countries, which would connect the northern countries with the open ports of Karachi, Bandar Abbas, and developing ports of Gwadar and Charbahar in the south in Arabian Sea and Gulf. The second thing is that standard specifications for vehicles have been agreed. Visa simplification arrangements are agreed under the agreement. We are working on the modalities. Harmonization of custom rules is another thing which a lot of work has been done, and we are now finalizing the main frameworks. All the countries have been able to sign major transport-related conventions. For example, the very known TIR Convention on Transit Trade has now been signed by all the 10 countries, which gives a lot of potential for the member countries to move in terms of transit trade. All the countries are also signatories to the Railway Convention of OSJD or SMJS. So these are the things that have been done under this arrangement, which now requires final integration. The corridors through ECO are they are corridors like any other. There are different organizations. Nowadays, there are globally many organizations and many corridors around. We talk about CAREC corridors, there are UN ESCAP corridors, UN ECE corridors, Trans-Asian corridors. What makes ECO corridors unique is one, most of the corridors are about connecting east to west. In very general parlance, people would say that we want to connect China to the Western markets. The ECO corridors are there to connect its own countries in the north to the ports in the south. Secondly, whichever corridor is designed has to pass through ECO region somehow because of its location, which makes it very unique. And then there is a general consensus within the countries to make it work. These are few corridors. Will just give you an idea on which particular alignments ECO is working on. This is one of the Kazakhstan, Turkmenistan, Iran railway connection, which would connect Kazakhstan through Turkmenistan and Iran to the Gulf. It's a railway corridor. We have achieved quite a lot of development on this. We'll talk about it. This is another one. This is on the western side of Caspian. So it would connect ultimately the Azerbaijan through Iran to the Gulf, and it provides also connectivity to the landlocked areas in Georgia and south of Russia. Then there is this connectivity which is north to south, which connect Pakistan through Iran to Turkey. And this connectivity has the potential to connect further in the north and east to India and China. And there are road and train corridors both on this alignment. This is another one which would connect China through Kyrgyzstan and through Uzbekistan, Turkmenistan. So we can say that we have designed almost all imaginable corridors in the region. And to finalize these and to come up with the practicable solutions, certain feasibility studies have been done in last few years. We have very close collaboration with Islamic Development Bank. They are our very close partners, and with their kind offices, we have been able to undertake certain studies on alignments, the railroad alignments, and the road alignments, vehicle road alignments. And we have also, we are now in the final stages of finalizing the custom harmonization arrangements and the border points that needs development. corridors, the idea of corridors, the idea of connectivity has been around for a decade now. And if we look at different corridors designed under different forums, we'll have a whole inflation of corridors on the world map. And I think in one of the meetings, somebody actually drew it, and it showed so many connectivities. The fact remains that most of these corridors have not been materialized. They are mostly on the paper. Lots of studies have been done, lots of effort has gone into it, but we cannot see any of the corridors, be it rail or road, which has been able to can be declared as an alternate route to the times-old maritime connectivity. Still, the business and trade is mostly done through maritime routes, although they are much longer. I wouldn't say they are more expensive, but they are, in terms of time, if we factor in time, they are probably more expensive. Average 40-45 days to an average railroad corridor would be 12 days, so there is a lot of difference. But why this has not happened is something that we need to look at, or how to do a more commercially viable corridor that can actually be taken as secure and trustworthy corridor and alternate to the maritime lines. There are some comparative advantages which would be required if we want to convert these corridors into a practicable reality. So in order for them to be functional, I think one of them is geographical realities, political buy-in. For example, landlocked countries, they have to find some alternate routes because finding a port maybe is more difficult, more distant, and in terms of rules, regulations, more difficult. The corridors must be managed in a way that they are efficient in terms of time and cost. And then maybe for bulk cargo, maritime is more economical because of economies of scale. So we also have to find what can actually be traded on these corridors. So peculiarities of the merchandise traded. I think there is a very good example of Chinese Trans-Siberian corridor being used for Europe. If we look at the merchandise being traded on it, is high value electronic items going from China to West, and luxury items like very expensive cars coming from West to East. So probably this is also very important to see how these corridors become commercially viable. So how to have a viable commercial corridor? There should be trust of business concerns all around. As we have traveled across the region, we see that traders feel that they are more secure with the sea trade because they feel that it would ultimately reach at the right times. So trust of the business concerns is very important, and there should be some clear advantages which can be used as reason to attract goods and merchandise over these corridors. It can be time, security, cost, ease of doing business, all-weather, good infrastructure connectivity, efficient, easy, fast, and low-cost SOPs on the corridors. The corridors, as they pass through one country to other country, they should be seamless transfers in terms of international corridors, because unless there are good SOPs which would feel like a very smooth transaction, it would not be practicable to have a good corridor. And we think that there should be a unified management entity on the corridor, which would make it certain that once a merchandise is booked from one end, then it would not have to go through numerous different rules, regulation as it passes to the final destination. So we feel that there should be a development of connected, intelligent, and centralized border crossing points to handle large traffic operating 24/7, 12 a year. And this can be done with adoption of similar conventions by all countries and doing up with the same kind of documentation universally accepted. So we at ECHO try to convince all the member countries to sign on international conventions like CMR, ADR, TIR, OSJD, SMJS, and various other Kyoto Convention like for WCO. There need also that there should be some visa simplification. Visa should not be an issue. There should be transfer, because in case of road and rail corridors, there is also transfer of drivers and concerned personnel. Insurance is another big issue, that there should be some kind of universalized insurance system. Third-party insurance, the driver's insurance, and also the issues of permits and security. There should be corridor-wide agreement on sanitary, phytosanitary, and veterinary standards and procedures. Minimum dimension standards for merchandise vehicles, packaging, harmonized and similar standards of safety across the corridor, and last of all, development of logistics and parking centers across the corridors. We feel that this can only be achieved because there are so many different things, different aspects to be covered in one single operation, that is only possible through an integrated corridor management. It should be a multinational integrated management mechanism exclusively responsible for operations on the corridor. Development of detailed processes, including but not limited to administrative, technical, commercial, for the operations of the corridor. And it should be, the corridor has to be run on commercial basis. It has to be self-sustainable. It has to has its own expenses, and it has to earn its own profit so that it becomes a tenable, viable economic operation. For this, I think, and there should be a constant marketing strategy for the corridor. It has to be run as a commercial enterprise. They should constantly look into the market, because the competition is with the very, very long time used business lines on the seas, and it would be a very competitive market to take business away from them. At ECHO, we have started one of the initiatives on this particular lines. We are trying, and this actually came up because in case of ECHO region, we have a number of corridors which are physically, infrastructurally connected, and there is no problem traveling on them. They are all-weather connectivities, but still it was difficult to find business on those corridors. Different countries and multilaterals have actually invested heavy funds on these connectivities. So we felt that probably the other important aspect is to invest on the management side of the project. So we have this very important railway line which connects Kazakhstan to Turkmenistan to Iran at Bandar Abbas. It was, I think, 2014 that it was inaugurated by the three countries. I think Islamic Development Bank has also invested in Turkmenistan, a part of this railway line. There have been constant interaction between the railways of these three countries. There have been some agreements also, but still it has not yet been attractive enough to actually run commercially block trains on it. This is one area where we have done a proposal. We are in close contact with Islamic Development Bank, and we feel that if we are able to find an integrated management model for this corridor, which is exclusive with its own SOPs. We have had interactions with the three countries. We feel that there is a political will and there is a lot of interest that to run this corridor on commercial basis. So we feel that this is going to be a good opportunity, and this will be one of the first corridors, if it is successfully executed, to become a viable commercial alternate to this long sea routes. Thank you so much for patient hearing. That was all.
Thank you, Abdul Rahsan, and it's very important that you have highlighted key issues, not only the infrastructure, road connectivity, but also the soft components of customs, insurance. You've also highlighted the political willingness behind the activation of corridors, as well as the economic viability, and that, I think, what makes it all. If there is a business case for a corridor to develop, then definitely it will succeed. You mentioned examples of corridors that are already well connected but not active because of lack of business opportunities on it. In the same areas of activation of corridors, I would like to invite Mr. Adrian Albu who's representing the International Road and Transport Union in their regional connectivity experience. Mr. Adrian also is a general Deputy Secretary General of the Union of Road Transport Associations in the Black Sea Economic Cooperation region. So we'll see more regional experience on the activation of corridors. Please, Mr. Adrian.
Gentlemen, at the beginning of my speech, I would like to say some words about the organization I represent, the IRU, which is the global umbrella for the road transport of goods and passengers industry. Our IRU is acting for promotion and facilitation of road transports of goods and for providing professional qualifications through the training programs of the IRU Academy and its accredited national training institutes network. Was founded in 1948 by 8 founding members. As of today, it's active in more than 100 countries all over the world. IRU with its regional partners organized 4 truck caravans in the period 2002-2011 along the different routes connecting Europe to Asia. And this became the starting point of our efforts to revitalize the Great Silk Road. The most illustrative of them appear to be the Black Sea Ring Highway Caravan and the Silk Road Truck Caravan organized with the ECO organization. Both showed that there is possibility for long distance transportation. It's technically feasible. But at the same time, the caravans allow to identify the bottlenecks and administrative barriers impeding the long-distance transportation. The IRU project, New Eurasian Land Transport Initiative, NELTI, which monitor commercial road transport deliveries performed by the road transport companies from Eurasian continent, had 4 phases. First 2 in Asia, the third one in the ECO region with the help of the ECO organization, and the 4th one in the Arab world with the help of OULT and the last, and that was last in 2014. What did we learn following this project? That up to 57% of the transport time is spent at the borders, and that 38% from the total cost is spent for unofficial levies. As I said, the NELTI project brought excellent results, information about the actual situation supported by facts. We have identified the main reasons hindering the development of international road haulage, and what we have to decide what's next and how to solve these problems. So we believe that the Model Highway Initiative of IRU it's an answer to these problems. It was presented in May 2010 at the Asian Development Bank's annual meeting in Tashkent. At the same time, we learned that the obstacles and the difficulties are as follows. Visa formalities, lack of streamlined procedures to ensure safety and security, border crossing infrastructure, illegal actions by officials, lack of bilateral or multilateral permits, lack of harmonized customs and border crossing procedures, bilateral trade and transport subject to custom procedures at borders, lack of awareness, unstable political and security situation. The aim of the Model Highway Initiative is to create a section of a trunk highway up to 2,000 kilometers, crossing the territories of several countries, having good ancillary infrastructure, and the most favorable conditions for the international transport and transit of goods by road, and to stimulate institutional reforms aimed at assuring freedom of transit and simplifying border crossings and other formalities. The participants in such a project includes national governments, international financial institutions, international organizations, local and foreign businesses. The Model Highway Initiative implementation is a mechanism in a public-private partnership. The Model Highway has three main components. One, the development of modern ancillary infrastructure that would make the highways in Eurasia secure and attractive for transportation of goods by road, and would also allow to improve the drivers' working and resting conditions. Second, conduction of institutional reforms in the area of transport, transit, and customs. And third, establishment of a multilateral financial mechanism that would effectively connect the creation of the ancillary infrastructure development financing with the implementation of administrative reforms, which I already mentioned. About the first key aspect, creation of modern ancillary road infrastructure. Traditionally, it includes the infrastructure located at the roadside, serving to provide night rest, water, food, articles of daily necessity to drivers, refueling, car maintenance, and secure parkings. Logistics center or dry ports are also included in the ancillary infrastructure. Individually, these assets would not come into the focus of international financing, but the projects involving the development of dozens of single-type assets such as service areas or standard motels can become attractive for the foreign investments. Of course, the model highway construction is planned to be implemented having the best practices in the area of ancillary road infrastructure and border crossing procedures. It's related both to the standards of the Trans-European Network and the recommended border crossing practices that have been recently developed and published by the OSCE. It is also necessary to implement the EU, USA, and Japan's best practices in the area of developing and operating the ancillary service facilities. The second aspect of the Model Highway Initiative is about institutional reforms and implementation of best practices in the road transport sector, such as liberalization of the international road transport, harmonization and facilitation of border crossing procedures, accession to and implementation of the international conventions related to road transport. Talking about liberalization of the international road transport market, we can have several alternatives which can be applied by corridor en route countries simultaneously. Such as gradually liberalize the road transport by admitting free bilateral and transit transport through bilateral agreements, create a regional multilateral system among en route countries like the ECMT quota system, or develop a corridor permit allowing to perform a single transport in transit or direct through concerned corridor en route countries like the BISEC permit system or like the Trocheka system, or conclude a multilateral agreement between corridor en route countries on free transit and bilateral road transport for green and safe vehicles. The reason is protection of the environment. Facilitation of border crossing should refer to transport such as quality and cost of the transport and logistical services, laws and regulations, institutional capacity of state agencies and operators, inter-agency cooperation, public-private partnership dialogue. At the same time, When we talk about facilitation of border crossing, we have to consider to be established a comprehensive cross-border risk management system. Also, we have to address measures to expedite custom clearance, to develop payment schemes to facilitate the payment of custom duties and taxes, and to assure a proper implementation of the single window concept. Last but not least, we also have to promote the mutual trust and partnership between customs and the trading and transport community. When I mentioned about institutional reforms, I have also mentioned about accession and implementation of internationally recognized facilitation instruments, the UN and World Customs international conventions and agreements. They are open to all UN member states. The UN Secretary General is the depository of them, and to accede, there is no accession fee or need for any invitation. If you look to the screen, you will see the Middle East and the Central Asia regions, and the screen talks alone, such as conventions is one in Sudan, one in Iraq. In Pakistan, as of today, there are 3 because they just joined the TIR Convention. In India, there are 6. Compared to Turkey, there are 24. As if you look to the Europe, to the east, central, and west of Europe, the situation is even more disbalanced, as the screen shows. On the screen now, you see the main road transport-related conventions, which we believe it's a must for functioning of road transport corridors. It starts with the Convention on Road Traffic, on road signs and signals, the Harmonization Convention, the CMR Convention, the Agreement on Carriage of Perishable Foods, the Agreement concerning the carriage of dangerous goods, and sure, the TIR Convention. I come back again to this slide to underline that up to 57% of transport time is spent at border crossing, and to the high level of unofficial levies, which are a mirror of corruption. Acceding to and implementing the TIR Convention could be a solution. This convention is regulating the movement of goods in transit through the territories of several countries, the coverage of custom duties from the origin, during the transit, and up to the final destination. It is managed by the IRU under United Nations mandate since 1949. As of today, provide customs guarantees, uses real-time data exchange, connects continents, saves time and money, could be used in intermodal transport. According to the Oxford Economics, TIR system cuts border waiting times up to 50%, and could save around 35 billion in transit costs over a 5 years period if applied in the UNESCAP region, according to a joint study of UNESCAP and the IRU. China is considering acceding to the convention. There are very encouraging signs that this summer China will be the 61 member of the TIR Convention. And as I said, is considering implementing the TIR as part of the strategy One Belt, One Road to interconnect regional markets. As of today, Pakistan and United Emirates are implementing the TIR. Canada, US, Uruguay, and Tunisia are preparing to operate the TIR. Are interested in TIR. You can see several countries in Africa, Americas, the East, and for the Far East, China and India, and in the Middle East and North Africa, Bahrain, Egypt, Iraq, Oman, Saudi Arabia, and Qatar. We work in partnership with the UN Economic Commission for Europe to computerize the TIR system, and in this regard, it's worth to mention a pilot project between Turkey and Iran, which shows real benefits for the ETIR. Coming back to the model highway concept, its third key aspect is related to creation of a regional infrastructure fund to operate it, and we have to mention here attraction of investment from financial institutions, funds, and private investors, their distribution for the development of the roadside service facilities and provisions of the return on investment mechanism, attraction of international and local businesses to the development and operation of the ancillary infrastructure assets, finally, establishment of the coordination mechanism for the model highway construction. The importance of creation of transport and transit corridors in ensuring international cooperation for sustainable development is highlighted by the United Nations Resolution 69 adopted on 19 December 2014. On the screen you could see the Pan-European and Euro-Asian transport corridors. The IDB and the IRU consider cooperating for operationalizing the Kazakhstan, Uzbekistan, Turkmenistan, Iran, Oman corridor under the Ashgabat Agreement. Also the Trans-Saharan Algeria, Nigeria, in cooperation with the ECO, the Islamabad, Tehran, Istanbul road corridor, and the Kyrgyzstan, Tajikistan, Afghanistan, Iran road transport corridor. In cooperation with the BISEC organization, the Black Sea Economic Cooperation, we worked on the Black Sea Ring Highway road corridor. I mentioned this ring highway because three BISEC member states, Azerbaijan, Georgia, and Turkey, consider implementation of the Model Highway Initiative along the Baku-Tbilisi-Trabzon section. It is worth to mention that the government of Turkmenistan decided to extend the South Caucasian Model Highway up to Ashgabat, including the Ashgabat-Turkmenbashi Highway and Turkmenbashi-Baku ferry crossing. For the Baku-Tbilisi-Trabzon section, the IRU and the Black Sea Trade and Development Bank contracted the Greek company Egnatiados, which prepared a pre-feasibility study and was presented to the countries en route in 2012. On the screen you could see the main contents of the study, like description of the present conditions and what is the need to be done. Finally, conclusions and recommendations. So I thank you very much for your kind attention.
Thank you, Adrian, for showing some of the key issues related to regional connectivity. When we talk of regional connectivity, of course, infrastructure and transport remains the main tool for it, but there are also the soft components that goes with it. Road safety is very important. Reducing of trade transport to 50% by just being a member of the TIR Convention, that's an added advantage. And we will see as we move on from regional perspective to country experience, where some of our member countries, mainly in Asia region, will share with us some of their own experience in connecting with the region. With that I'm honored to invite Mr. Bambang Prihartunu from the Ministry of Planning of the Development and Planning of Indonesia, our host. He's the Director of Transport at the Ministry, and would like to share with us today some of the experience Indonesia has on regional connectivity. Please, Mr. Bambang.
Thank you, Mr. Hakim. At least you know you forget me, yeah? To go into the stage.
I'll keep this.
I'm worried that you forget me. Thank you. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good day. Good afternoon. Very good afternoon, everybody. Thanks for IDB has invited me to be a speaker here. And then, if you don't mind, there will be two presentation, maybe around 10 minutes, PowerPoint presentation, and maybe another 5 minutes about a video vision of how to build infrastructure until 2045, Indonesia. Okay, our title today is Indonesia and Regional Transport Connectivity. This is the outline of my presentation. And you know, we have a 5 years plan, start from 2015 until 2019. In order to discuss about the 5 years plan from 2015 to 2019, now we have formulated what is our strategic issues. Before we formulate the strategic issues, we have to look at our 25 years plan as a guideline. One of the important thing in our 25 years plan is Indonesian income will reach per capita is around 40,000 US dollar, inshallah. And then we also look at about what is the infrastructure current condition. You know that we have a problem with the rural roads because in our national road or artery primary we have a good condition, around 94% a good condition. But in the road, worst, very the worst, is around about 45% in a good condition. And then also we have to look at what is the challenges, what is the geopolitics right now, geoeconomic, and also demography bonus. And also we have to look at about we consider about the climate change, what we have discussed yesterday seminar about the climate change. So we formulate that one strategy issues for the infrastructure development for next 5 years. One is to strengthening national connectivity. This is related to our seminar today, how to build the connectivity in the future. And then we formulate about the policy and strategy. We are going to build the multi-mode transportation development in order to support what we call the tourism industry and also the central of development. Why is that? Because in order to achieve the economic growth, we have the infrastructure to support this area, tourism industry and central of development. In national connectivity development, we have targets. For example, you can see for the railway in 2019, we have to develop around 3,258 kilometers. And also for the roads, we are going to build the new road around 2,650 kilometers. That's the target that we are going to achieve in 2019. Now, we are concentrate to maintain the existing condition for the road. And then after that, we have to look at, because you know that Indonesia so many islands, more than 30,000 islands. So you can imagine it is not easy to develop Indonesia. Now for the infrastructure, we concentrate based on big island. In Sumatra Island, Kalimantan Island, Sulawesi Island, and Papua Island. Because in Java Island, we have a good road network. So we concentrate to build the infrastructure out of Java. Especially in Kalimantan and Sulawesi and also Papua, we don't have any good condition for the road, especially for the national road. So that's why the government concentrate how to maintain and to develop a road network in Kalimantan, Sulawesi, and Papua. Next, beside the national road, now we concentrate also to build the toll road. Between 2015 and 2019, we targeted that we are going to build around 6,115 kilometers for the toll road, especially in Sumatra Island, because in Java Island we have a good toll road. Now we are going to develop a toll road in Sumatra, some in Sulawesi, and also some in Kalimantan. The total budget that we need is around 55.6 billion US dollar. This is a big enough money. That's why in this seminar I call for the IDB. It is impossible to finance our toll road for the next 5 years. It's fine, let's talk about the toll road if IDB. I know that IDB enough money, right, Pak Hakim? You have a big lot of money, I know that. That's why I invite you to be investor in Indonesia.
Sure.
And then air transportation. Now we concentrate around 50%, 50 airports. We have a target also. You see that in the green color, we are going to finish 2017. And the blue one will be finished in 2018. And also that one will be finished in 2019. Next is sea transportation. You know that my president has a vision to build what we call that sea toll. It doesn't mean that we are going to build the toll road on the sea. That's different thing, you know. But we have to develop a big port. We concentrate 5 big ports, all the countries. One big port in Belawan is located in north part of Sumatra, and there are 2 in Java Island, in Jakarta and Surabaya, and the other 2 is in Sulawesi. In South Sulawesi, Makassar Port, and also in North Sulawesi, we call that Bitung Port. So we concentrate to build the 5 ports, and also there are 19 feeder ports through Indonesia, start from Aceh until Jayapura in Papua. And then also the railway. We have a good railway system in Java Island. Now we consider to build the railway system out of Java. We target until 2018 there will be Trans-Sumatra Railway connected. Until now, we don't have any good, not connected the Trans-Sumatra Railway. Now, we are going to build the Trans-Sumatra Railway start from Aceh until to the southern part of Sumatra. And then, we have been started to build a railway in South Sulawesi. And then, will be next year, we prepare to build a railway in North Sulawesi. And in Papua, we're still preparing until 2019. Now about the regional connectivity. Under ASEAN country, we have a master plan for the connectivity. We call that MBSC, Master Plan ASEAN Connectivity. Now there are 3 pillars in ASEAN connectivity. The first one is we call that physical connectivity. We are going to build the civil or transportation especially. For example, we are going to build the RoRo between Indonesia and Malaysia, and also Indonesia and Filipina. And also the second pillar is institutional connectivity. We concentrate about the regulatory and also services. And the last pillar is people-to-people connectivity. This is regarding about the tourism, education, and also about the mutual regulation agreement. You know that our target 2015 until 2090 in our 5 years plan, in order to support the MPAC, Master Plan of Asian Connectivity, for the road is we are going to build high-grade highway in Sumatra Island. And next, also Kalimantan is become important because we stay side by side by Malaysia, so we have to develop Kalimantan Road. For the ferry, we have a plan to build 2 RoRo system in Sumatra and also one in North Sulawesi. In Sumatra, there will be Roro, Dumai, and Malacca. And the second one, Belawan and Penang. And with the Philippines, we are going to build the Roro between Bitung and General Santos. And the railways, the target we have to build Trans-Sumatra Railway will be connected until 2019. And then there is a new initiative. We call that multi-mode transport. This is we are going to build airport train to Soekarno-Hatta and also another port, successor Minangkabau and Kuala Namu, Hang Nadim, Juanda, Kertajati, Kulon Progo. This is a new airport in Yogyakarta and also Samsudin Nur. And after that, train support the seaport to Kuala Tanjung, Belawan, Panjang, Tanjung, and other port throughout Indonesia. And last one is for the seaport, we are going to build the two hub international. The western part is located in Kuala Tanjung, and the eastern part is located in Bitung area. And then the end of my presentation is what is the conclusion. The first one is the effective collaboration between dialogue partners, multilateral development banks, international organization, private sector, sub-regional arrangement, and other external parties should be developed. And then, you know that we have adopted PPP concept, but the progress is very, very slow. That's why, based on the seminar, we are going to encourage the PPP, Public-Private Partnership Scheme, to finance a connectivity project as an innovative financing resources. And then we are going to incorporate regional connectivity project into government development and budgeting plan. Is the key to the implementation of the connectivity project. And then also we are going to have the intensive dialogue between cooperation partner is needed to implement the project. So what is our expectation from this seminar? Indonesia national connectivity is part of the global connectivity. Therefore, Indonesia government highly expect the strengthening the national connectivity will enhance national competitiveness and optimize the advantages of Indonesian regional and global connectivity. I think that's all my presentation, PowerPoint presentation. Maybe next is our video regarding about Indonesian infrastructure until 2045. Even this is in Bahasa, but there is text in English.
Negara Kesatuan Republik Indonesia pada tahun 2045 akan terhubung dengan seluruh wilayah dan memiliki pusat-pusat pengembangan pada tiap daerahnya. Pulau Jawa akan menjadi pusat dalam hal perdagangan dan jasa. Kemudian, dengan kuatnya sumber daya manusia, Pulau Sumatera dan Sulawesi akan menjadi pusat industri negara yang memiliki skala internasional. Tidak terlupa kekayaan Pulau Kalimantan dan Papua yang dapat menjadi pusat pangan nasional. Dengan keindahan alamnya, Bali, Maluku, dan Nusa Tenggara akan menjadi destinasi wisata dunia, serta perikanan Maluku yang kuat akan menjadi lumbung ikan nasional. Dengan adanya konektivitas antar moda, akan tersedia semakin banyaknya pilihan moda transportasi, baik menggunakan angkutan laut, kereta api, angkutan sungai, udara, maupun darat. Pada tahun 2045, lalu lintas peti kemas Indonesia akan meningkat lebih dari 4 kali lipat, sehingga perlu didukung oleh pelabuhan yang handal. Selain itu, perkereta-apian Indonesia akan mampu terintegrasi dengan bandara dan pelabuhan, sehingga biaya logistik dapat turun hingga 8% PDB. Di sisi lain, lalu lintas penumpang dan barang melalui udara akan meningkat dengan didukung oleh adanya 2 aerotropolis pada tahun 2045 dan 6 aerotropolis pada tahun 2085. Untuk mendukung ketahanan energi dan sustainable environment, di masa depan akan dikembangkan pembangkit tenaga listrik yang bersumber dari energi baru terbarukan, dimulai dari hunian pada skala perdesaan hingga kehidupan pada skala perkotaan. Di skala perkotaan, simpul-simpul kegiatan terhubung jaringan kereta api cepat perkotaan, dimulai dari arus perjalanan pendek menuju stasiun kereta berkecepatan tinggi, yang mempersingkat waktu tempuh antar kota menjadi 30 menit per 100 km pada tahun 2085. Kereta ini juga terhubung dengan Mass Rapid Transport atau sistem transportasi massal yang terhubung langsung dengan daerah-daerah penting dalam kota. Bangunan di daerah perkotaan itu sendiri adalah green building yang mampu memanfaatkan tenaga surya dan ramah lingkungan. Serta dengan kemajuan teknologi, kita akan semakin efisien dalam beraktivitas. Selain itu, konektivitas nasional juga didukung oleh pengembangan jaringan internet kecepatan tinggi. Dengan demikian, akan terwujud jaringan infrastruktur masa depan yang merata dan terintegrasi, sehingga mendukung pemerataan ekonomi wilayah dan mampu mewujudkan Indonesia menjadi regional hub tahun 2045 dan global hub tahun 2085.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Brother Bambang, this is an exciting share of experience of what Indonesia is planning to have ahead. Definitely with the difficult topography and the nature of the islands you have, connectivity becomes a challenge, but merging all multi-mode connectivity and transport systems together with the soft components of how to become a regional player also and be a connector to the region and part of the ASEAN view on connectivity, that's I think has a lot of potential. You asked me a very difficult question about the challenges on financing. Yes, of these plans. Definitely that is a reason why we are here, but also knowing that we cannot achieve it alone. You have provided another partner, which is PPP, and that is one mode of innovative financing. But we also invited our key partner here in the region, Asian Development Bank, that will share with us some of their views of how they will also co-finance such of these initiatives. But before that, I would like to continue the share of national experience to play a major role in regional connectivity and invite our friend here, Abdullah Ushak Shorak from the Turkish Railway Authority to share with us how Turkey has managed to build its own within the country regional connectivity and also be part of the regional connectivity of the broader region between Asia and Europe. So Abdullah, you have the floor.
come from Turkey. I have worked Turkish State Railways, and I give a presentation regarding with the Turkish State Railways, and our presentation content of the 8 main items. One of them historical development of railways, current situation, TCDD investment allocation, operations, important investment projects, liberalization and reorganization of railways, IDB projects, target of the railway sector, and improvement regional transportation. Historical development of railways. Before the Republic Railway Network, total length of the 4,136 kilometers. After the Republic, additional 3.7 thousand kilometers of railway line constructed, average 134 kilometers by year. From 1951 and of 2003, total construction railway line approximately 1,000 kilometers, average only 18 kilometers per year. But at least 12 years, railway sector became a state policy. 1,800 kilometers railway constructed, average 150 kilometers per year. And ongoing construction, 3,000 kilometer railway line is construction ongoing one. Current situation, organizational chart, there is an important slide, only 19 main departments and the 8 regional directorate, board of directorate, executive TCDD, and 5 deputy general directorate. Affiliated company, 3 of them is. I give an explanation in another slide. Okay. Organizational charts, 8 regional directorate, 7 ports, but 5 of them is the operational right is transferred by the private company. 3 affiliated company, Tulemsash, Tuvesash, and Tudemsash. 4 shareholdings, establishment since 2003. Aim of these shareholdings, national railway sector, increasing railway national sector, and the 5 factories, generally products, sleeper, switch point, and rail weldings. Current station, 8 regional directorate. One of them is the high-speed train regional directorate, located at Ankara. Affiliated company, 3 affiliated company, Tulemsash produce mainly locomotive and maintenance and repair the locomotives. Tuvesash production, the DMU and AMU train set and the maintenance and repair passenger wagons. Tudemsash produce freight wagon and maintenance and repair freight wagons. Located Eskişehir, Sakarya, and the Sivas city. Rolling stock park, high-speed train set 13, AMU 117, diesel multiplied unit 80, electrical main locomotives 106, diesel main locomotives 439, freight wagon approximately 20,000, passenger wagon 900. Railway lines, total railway network 12.5 thousand kilometers, 1.2 12,000 kilometers of them high-speed railway line. The another section is conventional line. 38% of this line signalization and 31% of this line is electrical. TCDD investment allocation, this slide is very important for TCDD because of the became of the state policy. You can see the 2003 only 250 million TL investment allocation, but at the moment per year 5.3 million TL, approximately 21 times increasing to the allocation of the TCDD investment. Operations, freight transportation increasing each year, excluding 2015 because of the track renewal workings ongoing on, and we closed the some line. Okay, passenger transportation increasing 180 million passenger transportation by the railway. And the important slide for the high-speed train, total 38 voyage per daily and four lines between Ankara Konya, between Ankara to Eskişehir, between Ankara Istanbul, and between Konya Istanbul. Total 38 voyage. And another important slide is the sharing of the passenger transportation. High-speed train, all of them increasing. All of the high-speed train is increasing the shareholding to railway sector. The important, before the high-speed train between Ankara to Eskişehir, only 8% of the railway. After the high-speed train is increasing to the 72%. The another important project, Marmaray, some part of the ongoing one, but important section is open, and only one day to 100,000 passengers traveled. İzban another important project, Intercity project. İzmir the third biggest city in Turkey, and TCDD and İzban, İzmir municipality joint venture and operated Intercity railway network. Important investment project, ongoing on high-speed train, Ankara-Sivas high-speed train. Planned completion year 2018. Amount of the project 8.4 billion, land 400, physical progress 42, and the construction picture for this line. And the another high-speed train, Ankara-İzmir high-speed train, land of the much more 600, physical progress 5%. The important issue, distance, conventional train is here, high-speed train is here, bus is here, sorry. As you see, duration of the bus about 8 hours, but after the completion of the high-speed train, this travel time is decreased 5 hours. It is very important issue. Some pictures of the construction of the high-speed. Okay. Bursa Bilecik high-speed train. Bursa is the fourth biggest city in Turkey, and there is no any connection railway line up to now, and at the moment railway construction is going on. All of the information is included to this slide. It is the similar. Konya-Karaman, red line is the operated by high-speed train, and the blue line is the planned and ongoing construction. Konya-Karaman is physical progress 96, but signalization and electrification tendering process ongoing on infrastructure and superstructure almost finished. Some pictures of the new double line. Okay. Adana Mersin, the most population area for the Turkey, south area. Mersin port is important the freight transportation, and at the moment two double line, but we construction and third and fourth line is this line. Okay, this is a very important project for the connection of the Europe. Halkalı Kapıkule. Currently, it is an existing railway line, but old and not sufficient. We aim to double new railway track 200 kilometers per hour, signalization and electrification system. We are aiming to do entering to the tendering process end of this year. The another planned section, Kayseri and Antalya. Antalya is the tourism center for Turkey, and the Kayseri is the biggest city in Turkey. There is a connection for the tourist and passenger transportation. Ankara high-speed train, I hope, inshallah, we will complete this train station and ceremony July 2016. And the Konya high-speed train, construction of the Konya high-speed in tendering process is going on. At Meskut district at Ankara, the main high-speed train maintenance workshop. Okay, the facilities is very big, and approximately end of this year we will aim to complete this workshop. Project for vehicle procurement. This is very important issue for Turkish State Railways. 6 high-speed train production is going on, and additional 10 high-speed train is aimed to starting to the process end of this year. Total 106 high-speed train is needed for the Turkey 2023. Okay, and also the MU and AMU set production is going on. Project for installation of signalization system at the moment 2.8 thousand kilometer railway line is under construction of the new signalization system. All of the signalization system in compliance with the RTMS level 1. Okay. National signalization projects, it is important very issue. TÜBİTAK and İTÜ, Istanbul Technical University Research Council of Turkey, and TCDD will be joint venture and produce installation and national signalization project. Installation is going on, and the certification of the RTMS level 1 working is going on. Okay. Construction, installation of electrification at the moment, 2,196 kilometers of the electrification line project ongoing on at the moment. Railway renovation, track renewal. 10 years ago, all of the railways old and not sufficient. After this time, up to time, 10,000 kilometers of conventional railway line, all of them almost renewed. Okay, it is very important for the railway sector improvement. Liberalization and reorganization of railways, it is important slide. TCDD has divided two separate sections, business unit. One of them is the infrastructure, and the another of the train operator. TCDD infrastructure operator and the TCD transportation operator has 5 business units. TCDD operator, train operator, TCD transportation company will be private company. Okay, there is no any separated aim to TCDD in compliance with the European Union regulations and the increasing of the railway sector sharing and the enter the private sector. At the moment, there is no any private sector passenger and freight at Turkey, but after this process completed, private company enter the TCDD infrastructure and the transportation. Okay. IDB projects, up to now, electrical locomotive projects, all of the information about the IDB project. 80 electrical locomotives delivered to the TCDD, and all of them is operated by the TCDD line. 2020 million US dollars from IDB. Okay. The another project, 6 high-speed train project procurement, 174 million euro from IDB. And end of this year, this project will be completed. Okay. Railway track project, procurement of the rail. Procurement of the rail in order to track renewal projects. Okay. Total 172,000 ton rail delivered and 1,400 kilometer track renewed this using the rail. Okay, target of railway sector and improvement regional transportation. Target of railway sector, establishment of the high-speed train network, 10,000 kilometers. Establishment of the conventional train network, 4,000 kilometers. Rehabilitation of the existing railways, establishment of national railway industry, development of the legislation and the infrastructure for logistics, liberalization of the sector and restructuring of state railways, electrification and signalization of railway lines. The last slide, improvement regional transportation. I think 6 main items. Renewed and sufficient infrastructure, superstructure and rolling stock used to similar standards in order to carry out interoperability. It is very important issue. The most problem in railway sector, railway gauge, for example. Improvement of combined transport, reduce bureaucracy and use to technology for cross-border, encouraging the installation of logistics center, enhancing collaboration and cooperation between stakeholders. Thanks you for your attention.
Thank you, Brother Abdullah, for sharing this extensive experience of building a railway system in Turkey. It's known historically of the historic railway system, but to transform it into becoming a regional vehicle for connecting 2 major continents on trade, Europe and Asia. I think the location of Turkey would enforce or rather stress upon Turkey to avail itself as a Turkish connector to the regions of the both continents. And I can see very clearly that there is a high level of acceleration in terms of building up the railway network. We hope that the highway road network does also accompany that into providing some connectivity to it. Maybe Adrian wanted to say something on that before we move on.
Thank you very much. Just highlight once again the huge development in Turkey. I live there and I witnessed the huge development in the roads too. There are more than 16,000 kilometers of 4 lanes roads developed in the last, let's say, 10 years. And the third bridge over the Bosphorus, it's ready now, and it's connecting, will be soon connected. The second tunnel under the Bosphorus will be for road vehicles, and it's next to be ready. It's a huge development. And once again, big congratulations for the efforts the country is doing. Thank you.
Thank you. I think that's that all we can see. That's very visible. One major thing that Adrian didn't mention is the actual participation or ratification of the TIR Convention by Turkey. And that also availed Turkey as the biggest user of TIR at the moment in the world, which is the convention with regards to the transit of trade across the country. And that shows it's connecting business. Now let me move on to the last session, where we're now getting development partners. Mainly here we have Asian Development Bank, JICA, and then Islamic Development Bank, to tell us more about their role as MDBs in mobilizing resources towards building up networks and infrastructure. So we'll start with Mr. Arjun Goswami. He is the Technical Advisor for Regional Cooperation and Integration at the Asian Development Bank. So Mr. Arjun, you have the floor, please.
So thank you very much, Kim. It's very difficult to follow after all these people. Bambang has huge command over national and regional development in the region. And when I'm listening to my friend from Turkey talk about railways, and I'm listening to the discussion from IRU on roads, what can I add to this? Let me give you a sense of 4 key challenges that I think we face now for regional transport connectivity. And I will maybe say a few things that are a little controversial, a little bit unusual, but this is to spark debate and discussion and thought. The 4 challenges that I see are: 1, on financing; 2, on soft infrastructure; 3, on sustainability and the direction that trade is now taking globally and in the region, and the implications that this will have for the kind of transport and communications connectivity that we build; and lastly, the issue of transport corridors and economic corridors and the relationship between them. So let me start. Don't know if we have the slides here, but let me start with the issue of financing. Maybe more exciting without the slides. Listen to me. Now, normally, when we start to discuss financing, we quote the huge numbers, the huge amount of financing that is required. And, you know, a number which we put out there, we in the ADB, is quoted very, very often. Others are also quoted, but our number of 8 trillion for the period 2010 to 2020, there's almost no conference where that number isn't quoted. 1 trillion a year, it's about 320 billion for regional connectivity, out of which 70% is transport. Now, given that, you would assume that it's just all about the money. Now, there is an aspect of the financial gap financing that Pa Bambang kind of alluded to. And that is, no matter what is done by way of government budget, no matter what is done by way of multilateral institutions, you still need private sector financing to come in. So what are the types of financing, private sector financing, that are available? If you want, let's say, about 40% of that trillion a year to come from private sector, because gap financing suggests that about 40% would need to come from there. You can have it in the form of equity, you can have it in the form of bonds, you can have it in the form of commercial bank financing. Now, we're having this conference in Jakarta. So, even though people talk about the global financial crisis, we should think back to the Asian financial crisis of '97. And the lesson we learned out of that is asset liability mismatches. So even if you syndicate commercial bank financing, there is a big mismatch between the length of time that you need for infrastructure financing and the length of time that commercial banks have available. So this is a very tricky path to take. Secondly, let's think about equity. Well, if you think about equity, there are many different tools, but one of them, as Pak Bambang was saying, is quite rightly public-private partnerships. And I think many institutions promote that, ourselves included, but there are some cautionary notes about this. First of all, when you look at the databases, you find that whilst our region, the Asia-Pacific region, has done quite well amongst developing regions, only Latin America does better than us. Relative to the global average, we've done much less well. Really, only 3 countries have moved forward fairly aggressively so far: India, PRC, that's China, and the Philippines. Indonesia is making some strong strides, but I think the fact is that progress has been quite slow, and we have to ask ourselves why. It's because you need legal infrastructure, you need PPP centers, you have to do a lot of things before PPPs develop. And one big cautionary note: if government budgets get used up on PPP, you then don't have, at a time of declining fiscal space, enough left over to handle maintenance and other issues. So there are many tricky issues involved with regard to PPPs. It's not to say it isn't important, but we have to be aware of it. Bond financing is potentially a very attractive route, local currency bond financing in particular, but again, you have to do many things to get local currency bond financing going. You need innovative tools in order to have bond financing instruments that would allow for infrastructure to be invested. It has some major advantages which we'll come to in due course. Given all of this, you need to still have a lot of sovereign financing. That's necessary in order to cover this. Those are some of the issues with regard to financing. But even if you finance correctly, the most critical issue, in my opinion, if you're doing PPPs, it's bankable projects. If you're doing sovereign, it's project preparation. Project preparation, project preparation, project preparation. That is key. And it has to be high-quality project preparation. Sometimes people think of environmental and social safeguards as baggage that one shouldn't have. I could say, well, it's part of the requirements when you get involved with multilateral institutions. But I think the bigger argument for it is not that. It is that countries are now electing governments based on aspirational politics. This country is true of that. You're seeing it sweeping all across Asia and other parts of the region. And young aspirational voters expect environmental and social issues to be properly handled. So you can't do things the old way anymore, if it ever was possible. There are other issues with regard to project preparation, and when our friend from Turkey was talking about some of those on rail, there are significant issues, not just on interoperability, but on all sorts of other issues, road safety issues, etc. So let's talk a little bit about what we in the ADB are doing relative to this financing issue. First of all, since 2006, which is a decade ago, we have had a regional cooperation strategy in place, which has 4 pillars to it: cross-border infrastructure, trade and investment, monetary financial cooperation, regional public goods. Out of those 4, the huge bulk of our lending, which in terms of regional cooperation was about 3.8 billion at the end of last year, 70–80% of it is in cross-border infrastructure. And transport is about 60–70% of it, so that tells you how big that is as a sector. But I think going forward there'll be a challenge, because we have to combine transport and trade. We have to combine transport with new tools of monetary and financial cooperation. We have to combine transport with sustainability on climate change. So it means combining up these pillars. That's not easy. How should we do this? What are the engine rooms that we are using? Well, the ADB has used the engine room of sub-regional cooperation programs. Now, in Southeast Asia, one program that has done well, it's been a pioneering program, has been the Greater Mekong sub-region. This is 6 countries, Cambodia, Laos, Thailand, Myanmar, Vietnam, and 2 provinces in China. And if we look at the $17 billion that went into it, about 1/3 came from the countries themselves, 1/3 came from partners, and 1/3 from us. So no successful program can be built by a multilateral on its own. It's not possible. You do not get anchoring in terms of national development priority, as Pa Bambang said, unless you do that. And you cannot succeed in terms of the efficiencies and the financing packages you want unless you're working with others. And if we look forward at where the GMS is going in terms of its new regional investment framework for the period from 2013 to 2022, about $30 billion, again, transport will be big. But here's the message. I think that going forward, there will be new instruments that will become very critical, not just for the money. Now, one instrument is the ASEAN Infrastructure Fund. Indonesia is one of the biggest shareholders in that ASEAN Infrastructure Fund. Pa Bambang, whose minister, when he was in an earlier existence, drove forward that fund, and that's one of the reasons that fund has succeeded. But why do I bring it up? Because I'm here in Jakarta? No. The reason I bring it up is that it has a very unusual feature. In addition to the $500 million of equity which was invested in by the 10 ASEAN member countries plus ADB, it plans to float bonds by 2020, and those bonds will become reserve asset eligible. Central banks are very jealous about their reserves. They do not like pouring their reserves into infrastructure financing. They only do it if you can make it reserve asset eligible. This experiment seeks to do that. So this is a way in which bond financing, which I was referring to a moment ago, can be made to work, right? Now, let's think about some other parts of the region. In Central Asia, you've got the 10 countries that form the Central Asia Regional Economic Cooperation Grouping, CAREC. There's an 11th member that I hope will come soon, Georgia, hopefully this October at the CAREC Ministerial. And the 6 transport corridors of CAREC have been hugely, hugely important, with an enormous amount of road transport investment. So about 10 billion have been invested so far. And there's more construction underway, but I think it's interesting that, CAREC, one of the major initiatives that's now moving forward is a CAREC 2030 railway strategy. This tells us that multimodal competition is coming strongly into the CAREC region. And there are probably many reasons for that, not just distance. Let's think about what's happening in South Asia. Usually this is a part of the region which is considered less integrated. But actually, that part of the world has also been making some significant strides through a South Asia Sub-Regional Economic Cooperation Program. Bangladesh, Bhutan, Nepal, Sri Lanka, India, Maldives. And again, 70% of this program is on roads. There's a huge rail program that's underway. Inland waterways are coming. Air transport is coming. All of this appears to point towards multimodal transport as the way forward. And finally, a part of the region which we don't normally talk about in terms of regional transport connectivity, namely the Pacific. Pacific Islands Forum has been around since the 1970s. We don't act as the secretariat of it, but we seek to serve it. And it's interesting that they have made big strides in terms of port development, but also in one area that is quite critical, and that's ICT connectivity. A lot of submarine cable system projects that have started up in the Pacific. And what I want to tell you here is numbers matter, but numbers alone don't matter. And the reason I say that is we can get misled by the fact that you've got huge financing projects in other parts of the region and apparently small projects here in the Pacific, but actually those Pacific projects may lead the way to what happens in the future. Last point I'd want to make in terms of financing is this. We're in a completely different era. There are new initiatives on the horizon. AEC, the Master Plan on ASEAN Connectivity, ASEAN Infrastructure Fund, Asian Infrastructure Investment Bank, One Belt, One Road, Japan's $100 billion high-quality infrastructure, Korea's Eurasia Initiative, and I could go on, India's Look East. There are many. What is absolutely crucial now is that we align these initiatives so that we avoid duplication, we avoid unnecessary misdirection, and for that, I think we in the ADB certainly bear responsibility in terms of using the sector working groups in transport to reach out, to make sure that there's a united package. That is what our countries expect from us. That is what we expect from ourselves. And this is important because we have prided ourselves as being the honest broker in regional cooperation in the region, and we think many can contribute to this. The second major area of challenge is soft infrastructure. Now, many times people will refer to this as something you should also do. But let me suggest, Hakim, why I think things have changed radically. And now I'm going to come to some more controversial things. Global goods trade has slowed down dramatically. From 1985 to 2007, global trades in goods grew roughly twice as fast as global GDP. And if you look at that period of time, it was about 3.8% of world GDP in 1985, 26% of world GDP by 2007, just before the global financial crisis. But what's happened post the global financial crisis is that it has receded much below GDP growth, and there are probably several reasons for it. Partly it's commodities slowdown, but it's not just that. Intermediate goods trade has slowed down, finished goods trade has slowed down. And therefore, we are seeing a big change in the direction of trade and manufactured goods trade. Therefore, transport connectivity, regional transport connectivity, has to be much more competitive if it is to capture a portion of this shrinking manufactured goods pie. And one of the ways in which it does it, of course, is through multimodal competition that we were talking about, but it also does it through these soft side issues. Now, if you look at the Logistics Performance Index, where 5 is considered the highest benchmark, Asia Pacific is at around 2.9. I won't single out particular regions or particular countries, it's probably wrong, but Central Asia, for example, is only at 2.5, right? So that tells you the kind of struggle that there is. And, you know, the fact that it takes 14 hours to get through a border crossing point in the CARIC region is a sign of how hard things are and how difficult it is for transit trade. Now, on transport facilitation, which is also a soft side challenge. Oh, the slides have come. They were just testing me to see if I could remember. All right. Okay. So, if we're talking transport facilitation, I think there are a couple of different challenges. I mean, yes, we at the ADB have been trying to tackle transport facilitation through all these different programs. We've been doing the Cross-Border Transport Agreement. But you know what? When you referred to the 1975 TIR convention, we need to align with TIR. We can't go off in different directions. That doesn't make sense. Yes, we had a cross-border transport agreement that was benchmarked at its time, but now it's time to align with the best standards. So that's part of the challenge that we face. Yes, we've been very serious about the interoperability of gauges. We have big problems on that amongst the GMS countries, and we set up a GMS Railways Association in an effort to deal with it. There are major institutional issues, though, with regard to railways. Frankly, it's not just a matter of interoperability. Often, railway institutions are inefficient, and they need change. It's not just a question of the infrastructure investment. That is why bond financing as an instrument becomes important, because bond investors can come in alongside multilaterals and create those institutional efficiencies. That's what we would argue for. Finally, motor vehicles agreements are great, and we're doing them in South Asia. But, you know, if you look at exchanges of traffic rights, very dangerous for me to talk about exchanges of traffic rights when IRU is on the stage. But, you know, exchanges of traffic rights means you have some countries that are left-hand side, other countries that are right-hand side drive. You want the truck to go through, it can't go through because of the which hand side drive it is. Well, even if you have an agreement, implementing and executing that agreement is sometimes incredibly difficult. So we need to pay attention to these things. But it's becoming urgent. Okay, I won't spend too much time on trade facilitation because I've tackled it already. Yeah, the ADB is doing many trade facilitation programs. It's doing them with others, including Japan, Australia, many partners. We have corridor performance monitoring and measurement systems which look at time, cost, distance modeling across a route. We look at bottlenecks at border crossing points, as has been said before, in terms of time release surveys. And we have regional projects like the Regional Improving Border Services Project in Karak, which had investments in Kyrgyz and Tajikistan, in Pakistan, and now this year in Mongolia to try and improve these things. But notwithstanding that, this remains a major area of challenge. And the reason why it's so difficult is that it's not just about customs. It's about many other agencies, including sanitary and phytosanitary agencies, and you have to coordinate at the border. Not easy, as our friend from ECHO was saying. Okay, transport safety, 60% of road accident deaths are coming from Asia, so there's still a huge amount of work to be done there. Let's turn to the third area of challenge. Now, I said that manufacturing goods trade had slowed, but the area of trade that's growing exponentially by comparison is digital trade. From the work that we have done, from the work that we have reviewed of others, a report that we did for WTO last year, the McKinsey's Digital Globalization Report of this year, it's clear that it grew 45 times between 2005 and 2015, and the expected growth by 2020 is another 9 times. That's how quick internet digital trade is growing. So if you're only talking transport without communications, you miss the plot. There's no point having transport connectivity programs that are only on traditional transport. Please don't get me wrong. I don't want to be misinterpreted. Roads, trucks, airports, ports, rail, these are all important. But you cannot do it without doing this other bit. This other bit has become hugely important. Now, I think the last thing I would say on these other challenges is this. You've had a seminar on climate change. I mean, it's an irreversible point now. I think we've gone past the tipping point. We have to move towards sustainable transport. Rail can make big strides there. I feel, slightly hesitant to say this. I know I'll have a friend on that side and maybe less of a friend on this side the moment I say it. But the fact is, rail will come as a major sustainable transport initiative. We're seeing Maersk and other shipping companies drop in terms of their container traffic. That's what's happening on manufactured goods trade, and they have large carbon footprint as well. So these are issues we have to tackle. Lastly, transport to economic corridors. You know, normally the way it goes is people say you have a transport corridor, then you add on transport and trade facilitation, then you add on some urban centers alongside that transport corridor, and you have an economic corridor. So it seems as though transport is necessary as a building block in order to create an economic corridor, and that's true because it creates the opportunity for private sector modes. And we've been doing that work as well in many economic corridors, including Almaty-Bishkek and many others. But here's what I want to tell you. The reverse flow, the reverse feedback is now critical. And the reason I say that is if we want manufactured goods trade to come again, then it is those economic centers on the economic corridors that will generate manufacturing, services, ICT trade, and will allow transport connectivity to expand again. So it's a two-way flow that's necessary, not simply a one-way flow. But it's complicated because this requires a multi-sector approach. I can tell you that in my institution, doing something multi-sectorally is incredibly hard because we tend to think on sector lines. That is a thing of the past. I think the countries expect something different if we're to really serve regional transport connectivity. Okay, last point, and then I know you'll be glad that my boring voice will end. So there are growing pressures on globalization. I think, you know, you can see that in national elections. You can see that in terms of what's happened to WTO, not just on the Doha round, but even on the trade facilitation agreement that was struck here in Bali in 2013. So regional solutions as building blocks have become very critical. And we in Asia believe in open regionalism, so we believe in cooperating with other regions. And that's why I think Islamic Development Bank is so hugely important, because you provide the bridge between Asia and other regions, and that helps to reinforce our own regionalism and our own regional building blocks. I think what we need going forward is a connectivity plus agenda, which means you have sustainable, high-quality trade growth serving infrastructure connectivity, physical, but you add onto that the soft side, transport, trade facilitation, and safety, and you add on private sector development. Without that, we won't get a growth of the regional transport connectivity that we all seek and that we all know can provide benefits. And we stand ready to do that through enhanced capital, through better quality projects, through our commitment that 30% of our operations will have to be regional cooperation by 2020, which means $6 billion out of ADB's lending. If we're a $20 billion bank by 2020, $6 billion would have to be regional cooperation. I hope those dreams come true, because, Hakeem, I will be retiring from the ADB in 2020. So please partner with us, countries and others, to help that happen. Thank you very much.
Arjun, thank you very much. This is really a massive perspective from Asian Development Bank into Asia and regional cooperation to promote integration through infrastructure investment. I think one statement I can assure you of our support, that we share a similar target to you, and we know that we cannot make it alone. We're talking 15% of our approvals on infrastructure to be RCI oriented by within the next 10 years, and that's within the IDB strategy. And we need to partner surely with your good selves in order to get to that target. with that, I would continue with this regional perspective from MDBs by inviting today from the Japanese International Cooperation Agency, JICA, Mr. Haruki Mori. He is our JICA's representative for GCC countries who have massive experience in the Middle East on regional cooperation and regional-oriented connectivity programs. So, Mr. Mori, you have the floor.
Thank you very much, Chairman. So I'm very pleased to have your precious time to explain about our JICA's experience based on what we have done for last 10 or 20 years. And Mr. Arjun Goswami from ADB explained that the importance of the economic corridor just from the transportation infrastructure to economic corridor is important. So my presentation is about what is the economic corridor approach. We understand that the regions between Southeast Asia to Africa, that area would be the core of world economic development for at least next few decades. And how we could improve efficiency of transportation and communication of this area would be the key issue of development of the whole world. So we wish to collaborate with all the countries and agencies in order to promote more dynamic investment in integrated approach of corridor development. So this first picture is about this area from Asia and Arab world and Africa, and some corridor program that JICA have devoted for last 10 years. We have dedicated to support corridor project and would like to expand and improve this approach in all the region among Japan, Asia, and Africa. In many of the developing countries having remarkable economic growth, and large cities play the role of the trade and business hub and driving force of growth, while the development going forward in urban areas increase the attractiveness to population and investment, but the development in rural and especially in inland areas tend to fall behind. As a result, acceleration of over-concentration in large cities, and which cause disordered expansion of economic inefficiency and widen regional disparities. So the benefit of corridor development are enormous in creating larger and further productive market and helping countries diversify their economies, enhance economic competitiveness, reduce costs, improve productivity, and eradicate poverty. And just some of the corridor program we have dedicated is some example. For example, in the Southeast Asia, East-West Economic Corridor, Southern Economic Corridor, and Maritime Asian Corridor, and institutional connectivity for economic corridor. And actually our corridor approach is starting from Southeast Asia, and now we are more discussion in South Asia and Africa, and also the Central Asia is a big issue, how we could develop some more efficient corridor approach. So there are several corridor approach we are now promoting. And this is just with the concept of our corridor development approach. And one of the key is formulate the master plans. Master plan has long-term development vision, looking to the regional economy 20 to 30 years ahead with multi-sectorial and wide area perspectives beyond the boundaries of nation and regions. It comprehensively design corridor infrastructure development, transportation, energy, communication, logistics, and trade. And those are the foundation of economic activities, as well as the industrial development strategy in agriculture, mining, commercial, and industrial sectors, etc. And also, introduction of the participatory approach is encouraged in planning to promote social sector development, such as medical care, public health, education, and environmental and social impact assessment are also carefully considered and integrated into the plan. And there is an example of the component of infrastructure and industry development and social sector development. So this picture is conceptualize the corridor development. The corridor is not just the connecting A to B. Something more activities between A and B. So especially the landlocked countries connect with corridor via intra-regional value creation to global market through the port or actual transportation road, railway, and the marine. So it should develop the growth belt, not the line, the belt that is important between landlocked country to the port. And that belt, concept of belt increase the economic activities. And also the multimodal transportation infrastructure is the point. We should materialize the efficient multimodal transportation, and which should attract private companies' investment. So for example, we should care not the theoretical, but actual transportation time and cost, and the rules and regulation that should be coordinated with neighboring countries, regional institutions. That's quite important. And efficiency of operation, the port, and inland container port, custom, quarantine. And also maintenance of upgraded infrastructure should be cared, and private sector's expectation, possibility of participation, that all that kind of the issue should be considered. Just for example, about the case of the Africa. Let us take a look at the constant days of export and import. In the top rank is Singapore, while top 10 Africa, landlocked Africa, Asia, and the red letter is about Africa, and especially the landlocked countries in Africa. Time to export, for example, is 40 days, and cost to export per container is 3,000 US dollars. That is quite huge. So it is very difficult for manufacturer to import or export at competitive price with this situation in the Africa. example of the Africa, Mombasa and Dar es Salaam, waiting time at major port, 20 days, 25 days. So now we have engaged in the development of the corridor economic approach in Africa. In some eastern countries, Kenya, Uganda, Rwanda, that northern corridor, and the central corridor in Tanzania, and the Mozambique, Nakala corridors, that now we are trying to develop. And this some more explain about the one-stop border post. That is how we could improve and shorten the time and cost at the borders. So JICA, together with local authorities, for example, the African Development Bank, has introduced this one-stop border post concept in various parts of Africa as part of overall concentration to improve the continent's basic infrastructures, such as road, port, and energy supply, which in turn should lead to higher economic performance. And also, we have developed and assisted the custom capacity building of the custom officer, but also the importance is the central part of the ministry to improve the custom procedures. And that also JICA is assisting in by technical assistance program. And this is some example of the that corridor approach in Africa. In the northern corridor, we call that from Mombasa to Kampala and the Kigali. And firstly, we have developed a master plan in Mombasa, economic special zone, and then make a master plan in the logistics in this northern route. But also, parallelly, we have developed the Mombasa area's master plan, economic master plan. And this is some the picture about the image and the integration of corridor approach. And finally, just summarize this my presentation and conclusion. So, addition to transportation infrastructure, industry and the social sector plan should be integrated and harmonized. And the second one, just Mr. Bambam explained in the case of the ASEAN, and actually the JICA, ASEAN, and ADB has developed in the ASEAN area's corridor approach. So, addition to physical connectivity, institutional connectivity, and people-to-people connectivity should be improved. And of course, that's a final one, the regional coordination between the countries and also the development agency is vital for formulating the common rules and systems. And this kind of the point, we, JICA, would like to cooperate with other agencies, IDB, ADB, other international agencies and countries to improve the efficiency of transportation and communication of the region. Thank you very much.
Thanks to Mr. Mori from JICA, and that clearly shows the importance of partnership and support to the regional initiatives requests. In continuation of pursuing the roles of MDBs and regional partners, we'd like to invite two colleagues to have a joint presentation from the Islamic Development Bank. I think they will start with Brother Ahmed Qabbani from Transport Division of our Infrastructure Department. followed by Brother Muhammad Mirzai from the Cooperation and Integration Department. Now, since I have the liberty to dictate rules upon you, I would like you to please make it concise and short, as we're running out of time, so we allow some discussions and debate around the ideas floated.
Thank you, Dr. Hakim, and thank you everyone for coming. It's actually a bit difficult to be speaking last after everything has been said, especially our colleague from ADB. I mean, it's remarkable the coherence and how unlike the presentations of yours, of course, was much more extensive. What I'll try to do here is just give everyone an overview, very, very quick overview, since we're going last, of what IDB has been doing in this area of regional integration and transport regional corridors. So I'll start with just a very, very brief background about the IDB member countries. Now we have actually 57 member countries with 1.7 billion people. However, these 23% of world population only produce 11% of the world GDP. Now there are many, many reasons for that. However, the main barrier against this changing is actually infrastructure. Now, just to give you a very, very quick overview, our member countries actually have a very poor transport infrastructure. For example, in road length per 1,000 people, our member countries have 2.5 kilometers for every 1,000 people compared to about 15.5 kilometers for developed economies. The road density, for example, is about 126 kilometers for 1,000 square kilometers. In developed countries, it goes up to 480 kilometers per 1,000 square kilometers. And so on and so forth. Same with railway, same for railway density, and of course, same even for maritime transport. So if anything, this gives you an indication of what we've been requested to contribute to at the South-South Multilateral Development Bank. So most of our contribution, as you would guess, as you would think, has been, as our countries requested, focused on basic infrastructure. Hard components, basic infrastructure. Now, our strategic plan, historically, over the past 40 years, were aimed at addressing this economic development challenges in our member countries through this hard infrastructure. We have been focusing on basic services sector, rural development, may it be energy or accessibility or clean water supply, and basically bridging this gap to basic services. Now, again, a very quick overview. Over the past 40 years, we have been growing rapidly, and so have been our infrastructure operations. Now, the first 33 years of IDB being in business, we financed $13 billion worth of infrastructure projects. Now, over the past 2 years, 2014, 2015 only, we financed $8.4 billion. So as you can see, there's a massive increase in our operational size, and this has been mainly focused on hard infrastructure. Now, our infrastructure focus, transport focus has evolved. As I said originally, we're focused generally on, yes, international transport corridors, trans-Saharan highways, corridors, I'll show a bit more in a second, and general roads, railways, airports, and rural networks. So it has been classical focus. Now, we've been evolving, as our colleague from ADB and our colleague from RU has said, we've evolved. The world around us has evolved. We're starting to understand more, learning from operations, learning how our member countries are maybe not benefiting as much from these hard infrastructure. So we started to evolve. Now we're focusing, we want to focus on a comprehensive way on regional connectivity integration. My colleague Mirzai will talk in a second and will highlight how we've been thinking. We've been focusing on social inclusion, promoting road safety. We've done a lot of work with our partners IRU over the past few years. Sustainable transport, we're part of the Sustainable Transport Working Group, MDB Working Group, with our friends in ADB who are chairing this working group. And you saw yesterday our climate change and transport event. And now it's worth mentioning, now feeding into the Turkey presentation, only yesterday we've approved our first sustainable urban transport program with 150 million euros. So again, we're addressing the massive urbanization that has been taking place in a country like Turkey. So we've been evolving. So before I finalize, I'm going to give the last snapshots of quick snapshots of what we've been doing over the past 2 years. Unfortunately, a big chunk is still on roads, but mainly the regional roads. Thanks to the requests we've been receiving from countries, they're still focused a lot on roads. So $3.9 billion in 2 years only. So that's over 45% of our infrastructure financing and above 30% of all of IDB financing has been focused on transport infrastructure. These are just examples historically. I don't need to do this. You can see all the trans-African highways with contribution of over $1.5 billion over the past few years, again increasing rapidly. And again, corridors, I don't need to repeat all the 6 regional corridors I've been doing. We've also been focusing about rails and ports. Before the first presentation, our colleague from ICO was wondering whether this railway in Turkmenistan-Iran border, actually we did contribute. $370 million were financed by IDB in this railway. So we have been present, ports, Mauritania, Oman, and different regional integration projects. Now to finalize and to pass on to our colleagues in the regional integration, now the mindset behind this, the transformation which was mentioned, and well, it was explained in a really good way by our colleague from ADB, this transformation from transport corridors to economic corridors. Now, we're still mindful that we're after actual economic development of our member countries. It's not the construction of hard infrastructure is the objective. Now, this transformation of having an economic corridor that attracts investments, generates economic activities, trades, this is what we're after right now. And this is the mindset we're having and we're trying to move to. Of course, everyone knows a 10% drop in transport costs, translates into a 25% decrease in increase in trade, 25% increase in trade. So just one random statistic on how this could transform into economic development. But we've established, I think it has been established, that the physical infrastructure needs to be there, which means that we will still continue focusing on our hard infrastructure, but with a different mindset now. We acknowledge through our work with IRU, with our different partners, that there are weak components that needs to be focused on. The comprehensive approach, barriers towards trade, barriers towards conventions like TIR, and this is where our colleagues and our cooperation and regional integration are going to highlight, and now we'll show you how we've been thinking on moving forward, how our approach is changing. And here I'll pass on to my colleague Mirzai, who will explain how we've been evolving from just the focus on hard infrastructure into a more comprehensive approach, as mentioned earlier. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Brother Ahmed. Actually, I will just shed a light on, this is the last presentation of our seminar. I will shed just a light on IDB 10-year strategy and what we are going to do within the 10-year strategy, how's the approach of the bank. Actually, it is a kind of paradigm shift in IDB's approach toward supporting regional cooperation integration among member countries. This is a kind of a snapshot indicating major pillars, major components of our 10-year strategy. Started from last year, and as you see, one of the major strategic objectives out of 3 objectives is connectivity. It is focusing on South-South cooperation between member countries. Of course, as it is highlighted by the other speakers, it is a kind of a outward-oriented cooperation. It is promoting cooperation within IDB member countries and within the IDB countries and the rest of the world. And in order to realize it, there is out of 5 pillars of the strategy, one is cooperation between member countries, focusing on economic cooperation integration in OIC member countries and different sub-regions. This is actually a kind of a paradigm shift in IDB's activities. Those who are familiar with IDB's operations, you know that we had in the past a lot of interventions, operations in different parts of the world, supporting regional cooperation integration, but there was no solid sort of strategy and policy supporting IDB activities as an upstream document, supporting and guiding IDB activities in the field of transport, regional connectivity, transport, energy connectivity among member countries. Here, the change is really serious. We are going to move from a country-focused strategy, which is being followed up by under our member country partnership strategies, to a regional level planning. It is we are going to move from country level to regional level planning, and then from from hard infrastructure, which was traditionally focused on hard infrastructure. Now the bank is moving to contribute to facilitation of trade, facilitation of transport, corridor development initiative. So it is a kind of a move and transition from hard to soft infrastructure in the region. I just want to introduce how we are going to, to align our, project cycle and our planning cycle with this 10-year strategy in support of regional cooperation integration. We have a 10-year IDB Vision 2020 and 10-year strategy aiming actually out of main pillars, as I explained, to support regional cooperation integration. Based on the upstream documents, we are now in the process of preparation of IDB's RCI strategy. We are learning from the experiences of Asian Development Bank and other sister institutions like African Development Bank. And the regional cooperation integration strategy is being translated to sub-regional programs. Just tomorrow we are going to have a first sub-regional program for Central Asia. It's a special program for Central Asia. So the strategy is being translated to program, and the programs will come up with regional projects, actually. So it is a kind of a cycle to translate a strategy to action through programming instruments, which are the sub-regional programs for different sub-regions. We have 4 sub-regional programs for Central Asia, one for South and Southeast Asia, the other for MENA region Arab countries, and then the other for Sub-Saharan Africa. So these sub-regional projects will be included in IDB portfolio of pipeline of regional projects, and then they will be cascaded down to national components and will be included in country programs or member country partnership strategy. Once we come to the project level, there will be two sets of projects with financial gap and project without financial gap. When there is no financial gap, then government and IDB will together finance the project and implement it. But if there is a financial gap, then we'll establish RCI financing facility and also co-financing arrangements with development partners. This is just a kind of a look at to KPIs that we are going to achieve within the 10-year strategy. According to our 10-year strategy, actually, we are going to develop, the main pillars are increasing trade, investment, and regional connectivity and activation of trade corridors in different sub-regions. Within the RCI strategy, there are some certain KPIs, actually performance indicators, particularly allocation of 15% of IDB actually approvals to regional cooperation integration in the next 10 years, which will be about $7 billion. Financing intra-regional trade will be increasing in the $54 billion, and then to increasing intra-regional trade and investment insurance to $25 billion, and then financial facility dedicated to RCI will be established amounting to $2.5 billion. These are the KPIs that we are going to really follow up and to try to achieve. Our cooperation pillar of our 10-year strategy has 3 main areas of focus. One is trade, investment, and regional infrastructure connectivity. Of course, regional infrastructure connectivity has 2 major components. One is development of network infrastructure. Here we are talking about infrastructure mainly, and through identification of OIC or IDB road, rail infrastructure maps, and designing of the maps, and identification of missing links and developing projects to fill those gaps. So in order to do this, we have already started a GIS database, transport GIS database, in a digital environment. The geo-mapping of road, railway, and maritime transport has already been started. We have covered 11 countries under pilot project, data collected, and the GIS database is established. We are also, when we are developing the network maps, we identify missing links and then, start preparing projects, pipeline project profiles, brief project profiles, and making up our pipeline for investment in network. The other initiative is identification of trade corridors in different sub-regions in Asia and Africa and MENA region. Here we are talking about mainly on the soft side of the issue. Transport corridor development initiatives of IDB is mainly being handled, actually handled by business community. We have developed a kind of a model to involve business community, business freight forwarders, private sector, together with trade side to develop a kind of a regional corridor management mechanism to have the corridors managed and monitored at transnational level. So this is about GIS database that you can see the first samples of our GIS database. This is for Central Asia and South Asia regions. We are doing it with the red ones are the network of internationally important railway network, and the yellow ones are the projects defined by the member countries to upgrade their network. So this enables the bank to come up with a kind of investment plan for upgrading the regional transport network. This is about the corridor development initiatives, and actually the last slide, I don't want to go further, is the actually monitoring the regional developments and connectivity developments in different sub-regions. For example, in Asia, we have Asian Development Bank, we have ESCAP, UNEC, ECHO, and the others. GIS system that we have developed, we will create some layers for each institution to monitor the regional cooperation initiatives in different sub-regions. So with this, I just, because of the time constraints and there is a meeting after hours, I skip this a few slides. The recommendation that we want to really to make in this meeting is to really to establish a kind of a coordination platform. In different sub-regions, we have development banks, regional organizations, development partners, working, in parallel to develop, connectivity among member countries. But what IDB is, as a kind of a flagship initiative, is developing, is to establish a kind of a platform with participation of development partners and regional cooperation organizations to harmonize and coordinate their policies and activities actually in this area. For this purpose, tomorrow we will have the first IDB consultative forum with regional cooperation organizations with participation of over 15 regional organizations from Africa, Asia, and Middle East. So with this, I come to the end of my presentation. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thanks a lot for sharing this information with us and the update. And I would like to again recall for the regional cooperation organizations meeting that will be established for the first time tomorrow as a forum where regional organizations, mostly political established one, but we also welcome and invite MDBs and other international cooperation organizations to join us, and the purpose of which is to try and coordinate and streamline some of the initiatives for regional corridor enhancement and regional projects. I think with the time running out and we have the colleagues for the upcoming event waiting for us, I would like to ask one specific question for the core reason why we are all here and why we are all established as organizations is our member countries. I would like to specifically ask Baba Bambang for why or how countries can tailor their national needs with the regional needs and sell themselves so their national needs to the mainly to the financiers and partners in the region, so that they look at the regional perspective but also build the national requirement from within the country without creating a contradictory barriers between national and regional requirements, especially in infrastructure connectivity. We need to learn from experience of Indonesia of how the national plan and the requirements add up to the regional requirements and also make it attractive to the regional partners.
Thank you, Hakim. Yeah, what I have explained to you that we have a lot of potential project in Indonesia, and then my president vision that we are going to build the infrastructure through the country. You know that we have a problem how to reduce logistic cost, because there is disparity of price in that one. So by building the connectivity, I think we hope that we can reduce logistics cost from 27% of the GDP until around 90% of GDP. And then from the seminar, I think I asked all donors here because there is a World Bank and also JICA. You don't lose the high-speed train anymore, right? And also IDB, please see together, what is actually program you are going to support for Indonesia. Because it is impossible for you to go for the same place. Yeah. For example, that the previous seminar, when I give a presentation there as a speaker, that we asked that, for example, ADB will go to Sumatra, for example, and now JICA stay in Jakarta, right? You don't move any place, right? But I actually go to the Sulawesi, for example, because we have a master plan in transportation in Sulawesi, Pak. I think one day you should go to the Sulawesi. And also World Bank, Pak. We have developed the mass transportation in Surabaya, Pak. That's, I think, a good example. I don't know for IDB, actually. That's why I'm waiting for IDB. What is interesting project that you are going to support in Indonesia, Okay, then you are interesting for the southern part of Java for the route, We call it Pansela,
I think we're coming up with more interest on the maritime corridor establishment, and that will directly benefit Indonesia's priorities. I think.
Yeah.
That's
And
our
then,
new
yeah.
areas for regional connectivity that we're looking at.
Yeah.
Now I'm really obliged to end up and close the session. We started a bit late, and colleagues for the next session like to just maybe wrap up with some keywords for regional connectivity and corridor enhancement. I read from the different perspective and inputs, political willingness, business case, involvement of private sector in different formats, engagement of other partners that would promote all these regional connectivity. We would like to continue some of these issues tomorrow with the discussions with the regional cooperation organizations at our 9 o'clock session with the regional cooperation organizations. I'd like to thank all of you again from Asian Development Bank, JICA, ECO, from Indonesia Ministry of Planning and Development, from the Turkish Railway Authority and International Road and Transport Union, and colleagues from the Islamic Development Bank for joining us today, and wish you all the best, and we will share with you, inshallah, the outcome of this session. Thank you very much, and thanks to all audiences for following up the discussions with us. Thank you.